Hoosier Nation, what's up? Jeff here, going it alone as Indiana beats Marquette 100-77. Yes, you heard that right. 100-77 at the United Center. 50-50 crowd. Ben couldn't be here tonight because he's in Green Bay going to Monday Night Football. So I'll go it alone here, do a short little recap and get this up. But Hoosier Court, an Indiana basketball podcast. Follow us anywhere you get your podcasts, on social media, well, all that stuff. But let's dive right in. Tucker DeVries and Lamar Wilkerson, bravo. You talk about your first test to really see if you could pass the sniff test or not at the power conference level for Wilkerson. Obviously, DeVries has played there last year at West Virginia, but on limited minutes, and they had 50 points. They had 12 combined 12 3-pointers. And Indiana just straight up rolled them. No two ways about it. After about the first 8 to 10 minutes, trading some body blows, really tightly officiated game. It just was really, you couldn't get into a flow early, and you didn't know where this one was going to go. And you immediately start to think about, here we go. We're going to play 8 guys. They're in the bonus by the first time out, and off we go. And, it was a little bit back and forth, but in the first half, Tucker DeVries, you won't see a better half this year in college basketball. He had 24 points in the first half, just puts Indiana on his proverbial back to lead them to an 18-point halftime lead. But, let's look at DeVries' line, man. 27 points, 24 of those being in the first half, 6 of 9 from 3, 60% overall, made all of his free throws. I had 3 turnovers if you want to nitpick something, but just was very dominant, especially in the first half. And then second half, Tucker had some foul trouble, so he really couldn't get going. But that's where Lamar Wilkerson kind of flipped it and said, all right, I got to be the alpha. I got to be the one to score the points. He gets 23 points, 8 assists from Lamar Wilkerson. Impressive stuff. 6 of 10 from 3. So, 12 and 19 between those two guys from 3. I'm not going to expect that every night, but if you get that, you're going to win. And you're going to win big. And Indiana wins by 23. And we don't know where Marquette's going to go. Traditionally, they're a pretty good team. I think they're about like IU in terms of a lot of unknowns. But they've got some proven guys there. So that's one that, we hope a few months from now looks really good, of a high major power 23-point win. I'm old enough to remember the days of battling through, a 2 to 4 to 6 point home win. These are the type of games that when it gets down, whether you like it or not, Selection Sunday, a neutral court win by 3 and a neutral court win by 23. That's a big difference in the terms of the way they calculate that. And the neutral court quad 1 wins are top 50 versus home court is top 30. So a little early to be talking about that, but this is going to be a game, I think. I don't see Marquette as a team that's just going to be in the bottom tier of the Big East. They play too hard. The Havoc defense that they played with, but they didn't have much for Indiana today. And who knows? How good is this Indiana team? We still got a lot of guys out that we haven't seen yet, but today is really 3 guys with Alexis Sisley and Miles coming off the bench. And I thought Sam Alexis was fantastic off the bench. 13 points, 5 rebounds from Alexis. He blocked a shot. He was 5 of 6 from free throw. So you're big at 83% from the line. I thought he was amazing. I thought Sam Alexis, Reed Bailey got into foul trouble early, and he just really couldn't get in the flow of the game. But I think that those 2 guys combined can really be a nice, 5-man into DeVries type of basketball. Prior regimes, you wouldn't see a Sam Alexis or a Reed Bailey, surely, playing the 5. But on this team, he is. And Tucker DeVries is a nightmare matchup for anybody at the 4 spot. So, and Indiana's running 3 guards out there with Enright. And, Wilkerson was, we already talked about him, phenomenal. And Conaway, another 8 assists. Enright, 5 assists. 21 assists from your starting backcourt if you're counting the 3 backcourts there. You can't ask for better than that, right? 27 assists on the game, on 33 made field goals. It's a pretty good ball. It just was a better brand of basketball than anything we'd seen since, quite frankly, the guy that was calling the game today. And what an enjoyment that was for me. I mean, I heard some people say Crean talks too much. As somebody who talks too much in life, I can appreciate that. I thought he was great. And you could tell he really loved both teams. He wanted them both to win. He didn't care. He was just, Crean wasn't even supposed to call this game. I think there was some travel issues with the other announcer. So Crean stepped in. And, I mean, it was amazing. I mean, the guy knows, but I hope he stays with – I hope Tom Crean and Robbie Hummel stay with the TV game. Like, I'm sure they could get back into – I'm sure Hummel could get into the coaching ranks. I'm sure Crean probably wants to get back into coaching ranks, but, man, they're both really good as analysts on TV. And, man, we need good analysts on TV. There's way too many people yelling at each other and not really talking ball, as they say. I just want to hear about the X's and O's and the stories. I mean, Crean was great. Just some of the backstories, the people he knows, the pictures. I mean, hey, he and I had a love-hate relationship, and like we left on good terms mentally. It was time for him to go. But he's been nothing but great since he left Indiana. He's never said a bad word about Indiana. He's never said a bad word about the fans. So shout out to him. And he actually knows what he's talking about on the broadcast, which is much needed on all networks. And the one he was calling the game on specifically today is under fire. So the more people we can get calling games, especially college basketball is actually pretty good in their coverage on ESPN and pretty much all over. It's a lot of former players, and they do a pretty good job. So college basketball is probably the best product I think ESPN puts out in terms of analysts, but that's just my opinion, and probably because that's my favorite, college sport. So I'll go with that. But yeah, Cream was amazing today, but not as amazing as Tucker DeVries and Lamar Wilkerson. But let's talk a little bit about Connor Enright. So last podcast we talked about this. Enright didn't take a look at a shot, didn't attempt anything, was a non-factor in terms of offensively. Today, 7 points. He had a little bit of foul trouble in the second half. He had 5 assists, like I mentioned earlier, 2 turnovers, played, pretty staunch defense, hit all of his free throws. I think he could be very pleased with that. He hit he's 1 for 3 from 3, but the 1-3 was obviously the half court heave. That was, pretty impressive to put India up 18. And, you got in that second half, and Marquette immediately cuts it to 10 for the first time out. And you're having those visions of just prior regimes where, man, that just, it's gone. And the other team, takes you by 12 to 15 points before you can think about it. And that didn't happen. And, this is our second time watching a Darren DeVries led team. We don't really know what to expect. What I was excited about, he played 8 guys. Sisley, 30 minutes off the bench, 15. I mean, every guy that came in contributed. Even Josiah Miles, he was scrapping around there. He couldn't really find a flow. It was a little disjointed for him. I mean, I don't know how much they're going to be relying on him when, maybe they get a couple of these other injured guys back. But, I had no problems with pretty much anybody. And 8 turnovers. 8 turnovers. Listen, all these trends we're talking about here is kind of foreign to many of us from a consistent basis over the last several years. But, 50% from three-point shooting, 83% from the free throw line, single-digit turnovers. You're going to, the rebounding margin that they lost by 5, but they won the turnover battle by 7. You typically win that. And then the free throw battle was, they made 9 more. So they made more than Indiana attempted and shot a higher clip. But turnovers really, came down to it. Then also the three-point line. That was, those are the 2 things I'd circle there. 14 to 28 for Indiana for the three-point line. Marquette, a team that we told you about on the last episode. They shot 30 some odd threes, only 16 today against Indiana. That's an interesting statistic of I really would love, I'm no film junkie. So I'm sure, maybe Tony Adrania can break it down for you, but of what Indiana did specifically to take away the 3-point shot from Marquette, because it seemed like a team that really wanted to put them up, and they had the one guy, Ben Gold, who only took 4. That guy had a good-looking shot. He was 2 for 4. I'm glad he only took 4 because, it led to the IU win. So diving a little bit deeper, Going back to Sam Alexis, dude, that guy's a stud. Sam Alexis, I mean, he's got a national championship ring. People forget, they're like, oh, he came off the bench on a national championship team. I mean, he probably would have started for 90% of the teams last year. And, honestly, he might end up starting for this team. I thought he was fabulous. Everywhere that they needed him to be today, he was there. 26 minutes. Reed Bailey didn't have it. And I got to give Bailey some credit. He came back in the second half and he was able to, get a bucket. He hit some free throws. Just he couldn't get in the flow. It was one of those games where it was an experienced officiating crew and they just never let him into it. And it's a shame, right? We want to watch him play basketball, but not a free throw contest. But I thought Sam Alexis, Trent Sisley, a freshman, second game. I mean, the fans are going to love this kid. And they said that on the broadcast, but he knocked down a 3-pointer, but he had some big rebounds that I recall, a nice little kind of acrobatic layup that he did. Just seeing things, folks, seeing things that we haven't seen in a decade out on the court. The spacing, the shooting, the pace. People can say lack of size. Okay, but what they make up in lack of size, they have in shooting and speed. I mean, Tucker DeVries doesn't look like he's going to put 30 on you, but he will. That dude's a stone cold killer, a sniper, shooter, can knock it down, and he does, and he did today. And so now, as you look forward for your Hoosiers, you got a little bit of a quote-unquote break, if you will, right? I don't know that you can take your foot off the gas, but you've got Milwaukee and Incarnate Word coming up. Get at Assembly Hall, games you should win and win big. Milwaukee is a little bit more of a mid-major, and we're in an Incarnate Word's a low major. But that, and then you've got Lindenwood. Those are your next three games. So, getting healthy. You pass the first test. You beat Alabama A&M by 47. Everybody that was at that arena that was in Cream and Crimson today was probably thinking, oh, man, I've been to these neutral site games. And they whipped them. They whipped Marquette, a good Marquette team, right? A solid team that's going to probably be in the mix for a tournament bid when all's said and done. And punched them in the mouth, and really they traded body blows, like I said, and then Indiana just took off just in the second half. They were too much for them. And, Indiana only playing 8 guys looked to be well-conditioned. I mean, well-conditioned. Tucker DeVries looked like he was going to play 40 minutes until he got into foul trouble. I mean, his dad did not coach DeVries. His dad, that's weird to say, but did not look like he was taking him out of the game whatsoever. Knew what the game required. Darren DeVries knew what was up. He knew this is my first chance to prove I belong. This is my first chance today to get a resume-building win, quite frankly. Say what you want about that. No, they all count the same. This game, if it's played in March, on March 9th, counts the same as it would on November 9th. Where it's played is no difference, and we'll see where the rankings fall out. But, man, if you lose this game, then you're trying to make one up. And you got the Kansas State, Louisville, Kentucky, right? Now you put yourself in a little bit of a different situation, right? If you can kind of replicate what some of the teams of the past have done, have won the, Milwaukee's, the Incarnate Words, the Lindenwoods by 8-10 points. These need to be 20, 30, 40-point wins as you prepare for a power conference opponent coming in Kansas State to wrap up, as you get towards the end of November. And so if you can balance out, we're going to talk about this all year because you have to. It's the way you make the tournament. But if you walked up to any Indiana fan and said, hey, pre-conference, I can guarantee you 9-2, right? You're going to beat Marquette and you're going to, let's say, beat Kansas State. You're going to Rupp Arena, percentages are probably against you a little bit, and then playing Louisville and Indianapolis. But now you give yourself an opportunity, right? You let this one slip today, you've got to get one of those games that maybe you aren't favored on paper. So we'll see. But it was a big win nonetheless for Indiana to do this. I mean, it's time for some positivity around here. And I'm positive that I like the brand of basketball I saw today. I don't know where this team ends up. I know they're 2-0 right now. I know my partner will be back with me this week when we play Milwaukee and Incarnate Word, but he's going to Packers Eagles Monday Night Football at Lambeau Field. I mean, how can you pass that up? I can't blame him for not being here. But if you look out, I can see, I've watched some of the initial games of, Michigan State last night taking care of Arkansas. Ohio State's had some games, Purdue, say that we saw them against Kentucky. Like, I'm not really seeing anybody in the Big Ten thus far that I'm looking at and saying, wow, yikes. This Indiana team, I think, is going to be able on a night in, night out basis, be able to compete. They had the Baylor scrimmage where they won. We'll see what Baylor does with Washington tonight in a home game. So there's a lot of teams, in my opinion, the Big Ten that are just kind of like good. And yeah, Purdue's experience, they've got a lot of that on their side, and they're ranked number one. Ask Indiana football what they think about preseason rankings, because now they're number 2 in the CFP. They'll probably bump them down to 3 because of yesterday and the way A&M. But I'm not bitter. They probably deserve that. But yeah, rankings on November 9th, who cares? If your buddy, I got a buddy that's a Kentucky fan, and he'll text me and say, hey, is IU playing tonight? I can't find him in the top 25. Man, that's a rich one. That's a real rib tickler. Well, I think you're going to be able to find Indiana in the top 25 pretty damn soon, because, everything's setting up for November 25th. I don't know where Kansas State will be, but again, another power conference opponent. To where maybe that's a ranked matchup for Kansas State. Maybe it's a ranked matchup for Indiana. Maybe, but hopefully by then, maybe Indiana is ranked. Maybe they sneak in now. I mean, this game was national TV, 1:00, and they beat Marquette by 24. So, I mean, it's something to consider. We'll see where Indiana falls. A little shorter edition tonight, just because Ben's not here and it's just me talking at you. But yeah, Indiana's 2-0, and I got to say I'm excited. Prior regimes, just the excitement level that wasn't there on a night in, night out basis. And I know that we're all getting to know these kids and young men that are playing right now, because a lot of us, have not followed many of their careers, and these are all new players. But man, Tucker DeVries and Lamar Wilkerson can flat out play. And I think Reed Bailey's a solid center. He got in some foul trouble today. Enright's just a heady player. Connor Way's just that kind of like Swiss Army knife, like he's just always around. Then you look up, he's got 8 assists and a couple steals. Like, where'd that come from? He's hitting free throws. And then, I think Sam Alexis is becoming my favorite Hoosier, because that dude, he's just a workhorse inside. I thought he was phenomenal today. So, like I said, Indiana 2-0. We got Milwaukee and Incarnate Word coming this week. Ben will be back in the seat. Thanks for a quick stop by. Check us out in the podcast forum. We'll talk to you soon. Good night, Hoosier Nation.